Hello, Gator Nation. We are fortunate to have with us today Amber Hermida, Director of Sales at Home2 Suites by Hilton, and more importantly, University of Florida alum. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Amber. So let's start with your career path from when you left the University of Florida in 2015 and take us through where you are today, and then maybe talk a little bit about your current role.
Sure. So I graduated August 2015, and I quickly became an administrative assistant at a local hotel here in Gainesville, the Holiday Inn University Center. I did that for a few months, and then they decided to promote me to a corporate sales manager. So I was very fortunate for that, and I was continuing doing that up until the end of my 2 years there. As a corporate sales manager, I worked a lot with the director of sales and the sales manager who was there. And my role in that field was to basically bring in the business traveler to our hotel. So Gainesville is very leisure-based, I guess you can say, with a lot of our family and our friends and alumni who come in for games and things. So they wanted to kind of open it up for more business travelers and get those people in there. So I was kind of responsible for that. I also had a lot of opportunities to work with our local DMO, Chamber of Commerce, and a lot of other organizations here in Gainesville that make Gainesville so great. So I got to network with them, and I got to just make a lot of connections. And again, just the whole point of my job was to promote the hotel and bring business into the hotel. So that was kind of my first immediate career path in hotels right after college. Then I kind of started looking for something else. I was interested and I was eager and hungry, and I really wanted to kind of further my career, and I really wanted to stay in hotels. I love hotels. So I started looking around, and I was given an opportunity to interview at the Home2 Suites, which is where I am now, for their director of sales position. So I went ahead, I did the interview. I think I did like 3 or 4 rounds of interviews with the GM, with the owners, but they were all wonderful. I still enjoy working there. I got hired, obviously. Started working there in June of last year, and I've been there ever since. And it's truly like a family-oriented place to work. They're so much fun, so lively. They really do make me enjoy being in a customer service field, in a hospitality field. So that's kind of where I am right now. I'm currently the director of sales at the Home2 Suites.
So I'm guessing that you don't have a typical day, and I think that's sort of a common interest that we all have is when we see job titles, trying to understand what that means.
Yeah.
So could you describe maybe what is a relatively typical day for you in your current role?
Yeah, definitely. I get that question asked pretty often. What are you selling? Why are you a director of sales? Doesn't the hotel sell itself? And yeah, a lot of that's true, but I guess day to day, no day's the same, like you just mentioned. Each day is so different, but day to day, I'm responsible for just making sure that all the rates are in place where they should be. We have our low seasons, our high seasons in Gainesville for the hotels. A lot of hoteliers know this, so it's important to make sure we're selling the hotel at the right rate at the right time. So it's all about timing, and it's all about bottom line revenue, basically. So I look at our occupancy, I look at our average daily rate, I look at all the numbers, so I do a little bit of accounting, and then I work with a lot of clients, so I do a little bit of sales, and then I'm promoting the hotel, so I'm doing a little bit of marketing, so do a little bit of everything. But it's so much fun. I mean, no day is the same. Each day I tackle a new challenge, or I have to work on a new project. Day to day, we have different kinds of guests who will be like, thank you so much for helping me with this group. Thank you for coordinating our business travel, our government travel, whatever it might be. It's always just nice to kind of help out and see our guests feel very grateful for that. But daily I would respond to proposals, or I would send proposals for requests for proposals. Like I mentioned, I look at our numbers all the time. I think that's the number one thing that I do. I'm always checking the numbers and just making sure that we're doing okay, we're in line with the competition. So it is a numbers game for me. But then there's other days that I'm helping coordinate a meeting for someone. We do have meeting space in the hotel. It's not as big as like a convention center hotel or a resort that I used to work in, but we do have some space that we like to use for meetings. And then we do a lot of extended stay business. So a lot of what I do, I work with Hilton to make sure we have different tiers for our extended stay guests and different packages and promotions for them as well. So we work a lot with the Shands Hospital, we work a lot with University of Florida. So we have a lot of different partnerships with people to cater to those kinds of guests.
You sound busy.
Very busy.
So I'm curious, you mentioned this idea of competition, and
Yes.
you talked about how your hotel maybe has a little bit of a niche market in the
Yes.
idea of extended stay.
Mm-hmm.
But we hear and we read a lot about the shared economy, about how sort of the prevalence of Airbnbs have impacted hotels. So I'm curious from your perspective in the industry, what's that competitive landscape look like, and how has the shared economy impacted your ability to
Yeah.
sell rooms?
Yeah, definitely. So with the shared economy, I mean, Gainesville has been developing so much in just the last less than 5 years alone. We have so many more new hotels in the area, so the competition is already steep as it is. So
Sure.
with the shared economy, with Airbnb, and people kind of vacationing their homes, if you will, and things like that, it does put a little bit of strain on the hotels. One of the things we were doing with Visit Gainesville kind of recently, we were trying to coordinate Airbnb so that they follow the same kind of rules as hoteliers do, because if they're going to operate almost as hoteliers, they're technically renting out their space
Sure.
and things. So we're kind of just making sure that they're playing by the same rules that hoteliers are, so that way it's an even playing field for everyone. Gainesville as a whole welcomes all and most and all opportunities, which is wonderful, but it does put the hotels at a little bit of a disadvantage, especially during our higher seasons like football games
Sure.
and graduations and things like that. And then, like I mentioned about seasons, we do have high and low. So in my opinion, summer is probably a little bit of our lower.
Okay.
Fall and spring is our higher. So there is more demand from a lot of the people coming out of town who want to come in for either games, graduation, conferences, seminars, you name it. It's usually centralized around the university's schedule, which is typically fall and spring semesters.
Yeah, sure.
So, Airbnb, it helps definitely to offset some of that demand, because, our hotel is only 95 rooms. Some hotels are 100 plus, 200 plus.
Sure.
So at some point we all run out of rooms. So it does help during the higher seasons, but during the lower seasons it might take its toll. But I don't know. I mean, I think for Home2 itself, we have such a specific market, and we do have a lot of amenities and features in our hotel as a brand that we cater to just a completely different market. We cater to extended stay. So if you go into our rooms today, you'll see like a kitchenette and all the features that you might need if you're, recovering from a surgery, or if you're displaced from your home, or you're just moving here, you need to buy a house. You will have sort of a setup that you feel more at home. So I think that's the beauty of it too, with all the different hotel brands. They each have their own kind of market that they're trying to cater. Home2 being probably one of the more unique ones in Gainesville, because we are catered to extended stay. So in a way, shared economy, it helps a little bit, but it also offsets.
Okay.
Kind of has its disadvantages too, but
Okay.
not too bad.
And so I always like to ask about how technology is impacting people's roles. It's sort of a big general concept, but when we think about specifically within sales, I'm curious how that technology piece has impacted you, even in the short amount of time you've been in the industry. What changes have you seen? What changes in your daily role have changed because of the influence of technology?
So I'm a millennial, so I do love technology. I'm
Sure.
all for it. I love my social media. I love my iPhone. Like, I'm not trying to, throw brands out or anything, but no, I do love technology. It definitely has its advantages. It helps me out on a day-to-day basis. There's different software that Hilton provides us with to make our job so much easier, to make the guest experience so much easier. So from a hotel standpoint, a lot of benefits. We just recently, they rolled out, Hilton has their digital key system.
Okay.
So if you have a Hilton app, you're able to check in on that app. You don't have to go to the front desk. You're able to unlock your door magnetically from that app because it has a little scanner. So you don't even need to get a physical key, which is a little bit environmentally friendly as well.
Sure.
So there are so many benefits to it as well. However, there are some disadvantages because it takes away from that face-to-face hospitality experience that most people are used to. And it kind of takes, we don't want to say that it takes jobs away, but there is a possibility that with the more technology is advancing, it could be displacing some employees.
Yeah, sure.
So it's about finding the right balance between the two, how to use it to make your job better, but not to completely take over your job, is how I like to see it. But I do love technology. I mean, it definitely helps me out, like I mentioned. There are its highs and lows for it, but overall, I think that if people just kind of move with the times and get used to the idea and find ways to have it work to your benefit without completely taking away your role, it will definitely help out in the long run.
So whenever I think about that electronic entry, I think of like Disney, right? The magic bands that basically have your entire life's history on it, but it gives you access and allows you to purchase things, et cetera. And so to me, that's a pretty natural application. I think you're right pointing out the drawbacks there, remove some of that face-to-face. So if I ask you to put your futurist hat on a little bit and look forward 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years, what do you think that next impact technology is going to have when we start thinking about hotels and that stay and that interaction?
I mean, unless they develop robots to clean the rooms. No, honestly speaking, I think that we will reach a point where I don't want to say this, but I think we'll reach a point where front desk, for example, will be almost non-existent. It will be very, very limited to maybe just one person here and there. And we're already starting to see that again with like our digital key option. Pretty soon there's probably going to be, kiosks for things, just like, some of like restaurants, for example, have, you can order through the kiosk. You don't even need to talk to anybody or whatever the case might be. And all that's wonderful. Again, it's definitely helping people out. It's speeding up the process. It's making your wait time shorter. So there are a lot of advantages to it. And I think if it continues down that road, that's probably where we'll be. We'll probably see a little bit of a decline from actual people working. And probably technology will be pretty up there. So.
And I'll ask a follow-up question about that. I'm curious about the adoption rate. You think about your consumers and you talk about how you're a millennial and you're a little hesitant to start removing these face-to-face interactions. Do you see other millennials adopting that idea that I don't have to interact face-to-face? Do you see them being okay removing that personal interaction?
A little bit. A few yes, a few no. I think some really do value face-to-face. A lot are very incredibly friendly. Like we have a wonderful staff at our hotel, for example, and they, from whatever age they might be, they all bring something different to the table. Each personality is different, and it's wonderful because everyone else is different. All of our guests are different. You never know if they're going to have a good day, a bad day. You kind of just have to read them, which a computer cannot do. A piece of technology cannot read a person's aura, cannot read a person's, how they're feeling that day, what's going on. If they're crying in front of you, it's not going to have that same kind of experience. It's not going to have that human touch, that human interaction that we definitely need. And especially in a hotel where you're traveling, you want to feel like you're not alone. Especially if you're a business traveler, we get a lot of business corporate travelers who travel by themselves, and they enjoy talking to front desk. They talk about their travels, what they're doing. You can't exactly do that, on a kiosk. You can't exactly do that on your phone. FaceTime can only take you so far, I do think that human interaction is very, very important, especially in the hospitality industry. That's what it's built on. That's what it's based on, is being able to provide that level of service to someone and making them feel special and making them feel like, I'm paying for this interaction or I'm paying for this service. They're getting it. They're actually getting it. So as much as I love technology, and a lot of millennials love too, I think they realize and they understand the concept that human interaction is equally as important. So the two, I think, go hand in hand. As like I was saying, it can make your job a lot easier, but I don't think it can take away your job completely or your role completely.
So if we remove technology, and which you've already done, you removed the people and inserted technology. But if we remove technology, keeping your futurist hat on, how do you think the hotel industry, hospitality, is going to change in the next 10 years? What's sort of that next big impact? And what sort of made me think of that question as you think about, like Disney Star Wars hotel, that's this entire experience, right, where you go and the hotel is your destination. So not to plant an idea in your head, but I'm curious, what's that next major trend that's going to really shake or impact the hotel industry?
I think that next major trend for the hotel, there's a lot of talk right now about sustainability. So a lot of people talk about sustainable tourism, ecotourism, mission trips, doing things to be more humanitarian, I guess you can say, and to help out the environment as a whole. So I know we personally don't, but Visit Gainesville overall likes to, once upon a time, their slogan, I loved it too, it was where culture meets nature. And there was so much truth to that because Gainesville itself, it has a lot of trees. It's known as, I think it's Arbor City or Tree City or something is one of its nicknames. So there's so much truth to that. And I think that there's a level of importance with that too, especially if we want to, last in this world. We have to start thinking about those things and what kind of things we're putting into the environment. Not just from a technology aspect of it, but, just like either plastic or whatever hardware materials or whatever, fossil fuels or things like that are going to impact the environment. So, for example, when I lived in Costa Rica, it was very big on ecotourism. People loved to go there for the rainforest. They would use little to no technology whatsoever. And their whole goal was to go and experience the nature and appreciate the nature. So I think that's probably a big thing that's being talked about, especially with the UNWTO, talking about sustainable tourism and how to better the experience for those folks who are trying to, make our world last longer, of course. So I think that's probably one of the trending things right now. I could see that happening in 5 to 10 years, like basically a new reformed way of travel, I guess you could say, for hotels.
I love it. I know that that you recently started a graduate program.
Yes.
So congrats on that.
Thank
I think you're 2 semesters in now, right?
Yep, I am.
Can you talk a little bit about the catalyst behind that decision to go back to grad school, and then what that adds to someone who's already working in the industry? What I guess the role of graduate education could be for a professional in the industry.
So the unique thing about this industry, tourism and hospitality, I've learned along the way, and this is just my personal experience, it doesn't have to apply to anyone else, but I didn't necessarily need a degree to be in the hospitality industry because, again, it is very, very customer service driven, so you kind of have to have like the knack for it, the personality for it. Those are skills that you develop on the job, not so much in the classroom. However, that being said, I'm not knocking education at all.
We're going to edit that part out.
We're going to edit that part out. No, I do think a lot of the things that I learned in the classroom helped me out from a sales aspect. I took a couple business courses in school. Being in grad school now, I'm learning more about different trends in tourism, crisis management in tourism, so many different things that I had never thought about before. And I think that's why I wanted to go back to school. I took a year or 2 off to kind of just be in the field and get experience and get my feet wet. And then I decided after some time, I was like, okay, I'm at a point, where I'm learning so much on the job, but what's going to happen in the future? How am I, what resources do I have to learn about more industry trends and how can I apply that? So I was like, okay, I need to go to grad school. That was my goal, that I needed to go to grad school and learn further about, what's happening in this industry, what's trending in this industry, what is the hot pieces of topic or hot topics that are going to be talked about and what is being planned for future years to come. And I'm very grateful for that. I think I made the right decision for myself to go back to school. And I've so far taken 4 classes. And they've been very different. Like right now I'm taking marketing and management in tourism and destinations. So it talks a lot about tourism as a whole, how to market a destination, domestic versus international tourism. So all of these different facets that play a role in my job. So I take what I learned from the classroom and apply it to work, and vice versa. I take what I learn at work and I'm able to apply it in the classroom, whether it's in discussions or in a research paper or something. So for me, the two go hand in hand. And if I have an opportunity later in life to get a PhD, I probably will. But that's just because I don't like to stop learning. I think it's important to continue learning, to continue reading and staying current, like I mentioned earlier, especially in this field that it's ever changing. And like, we talked about technology changing it, human interaction changing it, so many different facets of it. I think it's very important to stay current and stay educated. You can never stop learning, no matter what age you are.
It's true. I love that. And on that note, let's think about some of our students that may be watching this, or young professionals, young alums that are out there. I know you've had a variety of experiences. We didn't talk about your time here at UF or even at Miami-Dade before that very much, but you did work in the Disney College program. You did an internship in Costa Rica, and now you've been in the hotel industry now for a couple of years. I'm curious what kind of advice you would give students about the types of experiences that they should be pursuing now that would maybe help them be more marketable when they go up for a position.
Yeah, definitely. I think each experience is different. Each experience, even if it's not industry related, it's probably going to help you out in some way. From the time that I started Miami-Dade College up until now, I've worked in hotels, food and beverage. I've done housekeeping. I've done real estate. I've done, you know, retail. I've done so many different things, and each one taught me something new that I can still apply to what I'm doing now. So I learned about, you know, what it takes to operate a hotel. I learned about what it takes to operate a catering business. I learned about retail, you know, products and supply and demand and all these different things. And you don't realize it in the moment when you're doing it. But looking back now, all of those experiences definitely help me right now with my work role and in school as well. So as far as advice goes, don't be afraid to take on a new experience. Don't be afraid to reach for something bigger or something higher. It's okay to job hop in college, trust me. I did it plenty. I job hopped so much. But again, each job taught me something different. Each person I interacted with, each boss that I met brought something to the table for me. And I like to think that I brought something to the table for them. So you never know. You shouldn't rule out experiences just because, you know, it's not the salary you wanted right now. You shouldn't rule out an experience because, you know, you're trying to dive more into event planning and not so much hotels. You never know where it's going to take you. I started off as an event major, and I graduated with event and recreation, but I'm in hotels right now, and I can still take that and apply it. I still do events at my hotel. I still coordinate meetings at my hotel, maybe not so much on a grander scale, but I still do it. And I think that moving forward, if I did want to open up my own business as an event manager or, you know, be my own entrepreneur or whatever, I can take a lot of these sales skills that I've learned and apply it to that, because I will be running my own business and I will be calculating my own, you know, hours and income and all these different things. So it's crazy how much the two worlds collide, like not just hospitality, but business in general. So I would definitely say two pieces of advice. Don't knock any opportunity till you try it, and don't be afraid to reach for something bigger.
That's a fantastic way to end the conversation.
Thank
So
you.
again, I appreciate you taking your time.
Thank you.
Amber
Appreciate
Hermida,
it.
and as always, go Gators.
Go Gators.
Nice.